I'm currently looking at a direct view of the Indiana Pacers stadium. Indianapolis Pacers? No, it's the Indianapolis Pacers? I'm a big NBA fan, I should know, but I have a direct view of it outside my hotel right now. Kind of crazy. I'm currently on a layover in Indianapolis. This is why I'm sitting in front of the Pacers Stadium. Wanted to film a little sit-down video. I just went for a super long walk out in the city. I had no idea what to expect from Indiana, but honestly I had a stellar time. Right outside there's this really cool Unity Court, I think that's what it's called, Bicentennial Unity Court, I'm pretty sure. And it's super cool, and people like from the community just come and play basketball, and it's super beautiful. And like I just love finding little spots in the city like that, whether it's like a park or just something that's unique to the city. So cool. I've been thinking about filming this video for a while, but I wanted to get a little bit of experience under my belt before I talk about it. As many of you know, or if you don't know, I'm a flight attendant. I'm on my 9th month, which is, you know, not senior by any means, but I've pretty much seen it all by this point. 9 months in, about to hit my 1 year. I'm very proud of myself for going after this job, for obtaining this job, and just for getting through it, because you talk to pretty much any flight attendant ever, it is tough at the start. I feel like any job, it can come with that, like some uphill battles, some things that you have to overcome, but being a flight attendant is kind of an enigma of a job. It is weird, it looks different every single day, it's a little bit bizarre, but we're gonna talk about it. I made a list because if I film videos like this, I will rant forever and ever, and I'm gonna try to not do that. I made a list about what it is truly like being a flight attendant. These are all my own opinions. I work for an airline where we don't fly international, so these could be totally different for an airline that flies, you know, way outside the country. We only fly to Mexico and Canada, and within the US, we still have a fun of 10 cities. Whoa, God, I cannot talk. Can you tell that I flew a red eye last night and slept through the day, and now it's 5:46, and after this video, I'm probably gonna get into bed again and go to bed. With my airline, we still have a fun, whoa, I cannot talk. With my airline, we still have a ton of fun cities that we fly to. It's just not like Amsterdam and Paris one weekend and all of those like things that seem super glamorous to me. All right, I'm gonna go into my list. These are just things that off the top of my head I came up with about what it's really like being a flight attendant, you know, the positives, the negatives, things that if you're looking into it, maybe a good heads up, things that I didn't really know going into it. I knew one person pretty much in the aviation industry before I applied for my job, but it just seemed like the right fit. I applied for like 100 jobs out of college, got nothing, and I was like, the universe is telling me to go in a totally different direction, which was a little freaky. But then my dad was on a flight and they said they were hiring, and he's like, I think you should do it. You should go for it. I had no idea what I was signing up for, but it just felt right. Luckily, it all worked out in my favor, and now I've been doing it for 9 months. I have a career. I've got like benefits. Like, it's just crazy because if you know me, I've been doing like little gigs here and there for as long as I can remember, working like little random jobs, and it does feel good to have something that's like stable. I would not say steady. It is not like consistent job whatsoever, but it's stable. You know, I've got all the things. I got all the adulting things. Okay, enough of my ranting. Let's get into it. So the first thing I'd say about being a flight attendant is you don't go into it for the pay. You'll hear this from many flight attendants, you know, we don't do this job because, you know, we're living this luxury life. The pay is tough at the start. Our union is currently fighting for better work rights and better pay. I won't get into that too much. If you want to look into it, you can go to any AFA, Association of Flight Attendants website, look into what many airlines are fighting for. There's a lot going on within the aviation industry, but it's super cool to have a company that's so united in fighting for what they feel like they deserve. Going into this job, I did not do it for the pay. The pay is tough at first. That's all I'll say, is that, you know, I get by fine, but it is not easy, and I work my little tushy off to get a good paycheck every month because it's not a salary job. You're not paid in hours. My airline, we're paid in mileage. It's kind of its own like structure. Every trip is worth a different amount of miles, and then we're paid in that. It's just kind of, it doesn't make sense. If you're interested, you can look up what TFP is. That's its own thing. You know, I didn't do it for the money. It does really pay off in the end. There's a ton of great benefits in this job. I get pretty much to fly for little to no money. I could fly anywhere practically, which is so cool. My family can fly, my friendship can fly. There's a lot of really, really cool perks. Not a big surprise, but it is very nice to have as someone who loves to travel a lot. And I think that experiencing travel is something that is like priceless. Like I'm in Indiana right now. Kind of freaked me out because there's no big body of water to run to. Honestly, I had such a good day, and this hotel is super nice, and we're in a cool area, and like you just never know. So the perks of this job are really great, and the longer you do it, the more rewarding it is. My airline, we get paid a little bit more, not every year, but it goes up and up. If you're looking for a super high paying job, probably not your cup of tea, but it is so rewarding in a million other ways, which is cool. All right, next one. Flexibility of being a flight attendant is kind of crazy. Starting off, I am on call. Well, I'm a reserve flight attendant. There are 2 different types of flight attendants within my company. I think it's the same for most airlines. There is an on-call flight attendant, which means you're reserved, which means about half the month, a little over half the month. I usually have 12 or 13 days off. I am on call for extended periods of time. Like right now, I am on a 6-day block, which is a little bit more than usual. Every day from 10 a.m. to midnight, I am, you know, I call, or they call, and I go. Doesn't matter where, when, how, I go. We get 2-hour minimum call out, which is kind of crazy. So you gotta be flexible. You gotta have your suitcase ready to go. You get to do fun trips being on call sometimes because, you know, some person calls out sick for their Maui flight and then you get to go. So it can be rewarding in different ways. It is a little bit stressful, and I don't love sitting by my phone, you know, anxious they're gonna call. I'd rather just know and go. It doesn't really work like that. So you definitely have to have an open mind, but the flexibility of it, you have enough seniority, you can choose to be on reserve, or you can be a line holder, which means you have set trips, you know where you're going. There are some people who only fly to Hawaii like 4 times a month, or they have a significant other in Boston, and so they pick up trips like that all the time. So there's a lot of ins and outs. It honestly, I'm still learning. I learn something new every day about like our schedules and scheduling and things like that, but there is a lot of flexibility to it. Eventually you get like full control of your schedule. You also have the ability to work as little or as much as you want. For example, I have a weekend that I wanted to get off this month. I had somebody grab it and then it's gone, it's off my line, and I get that weekend off, and then I could pick up something else if I want to keep up a certain amount of work I'm doing every month. You can always pick up something else in your off time. So there is a ton of flexibility to it. It's honestly like a whole foreign language, and I'm sorry if this hasn't all made sense, but it is pretty cool. It's cool to be part of this thing that's like everyone's got their way of doing it. Like for me, I love working like New York flights, and then there's some people who hate it. There's some people who love red eyes, there's some people that don't. I don't mind red eyes unless like this time they only gave me a 2-hour call out, so I didn't have time to nap, but it happens. I'm new. I'm just trying to be flexible, open-minded, all the things. Next thing, my airline has a probationary period. Ours is 6 months. I know it's different for pilots. It's different for other airlines. I think it might be 6 months for everyone. Cannot confirm. The probationary period is pretty intense. It is for 6 months, and you just got to, all I'll say is follow all the rules, do all the things. It is a little bit intense. I feel like probationary periods come with a lot of jobs. Once you get through that, it feels so good, and honestly I was so proud of myself. It is a little bit intense, but once you get through it, it is so rewarding, and you just gotta like work your little booty off, and then once your 6 months are up, then you're protected by the union and all the good things that come with that. Next thing I have is you are by yourself a lot, which is for me an introvert's dream. It's funny because it took a long time for me to accept that I am an introvert. My recharge time by myself in my bed, watching TikTok or YouTube or whatever, reading my book, that is how I recharge. On this job, it kind of like, it fulfills all of my socials. Like I get to work with a new crew every day, which is another thing I have on my list. Working with a new crew, working with new pilots every day. It is so fun. You get to meet so many people. Flight attendants come from all walks of life at different points in time of their life. You have people who pursue it, you know, after they've retired. You have people who pursue it like me out of college. Everyone's from a different time in their life. So you get to work with the coolest people that have the coolest stories, and you get to, you know, meet all the passengers. I love chit-chatting with passengers. I hope that, you know, this never like dulls, because I'm planning on doing this for a hot minute, if maybe the rest of my life. I love like being on the drink cart and just having like a little banter with the passenger or something. Like, you know, middle of the night, this woman's like harping on her husband for getting orange juice because it has too much sugar, and I was like, well, it's got ice in it, you know, waters it down. He's getting hydrated as well. Just funny little things like that. I just think, you know, if I can have a little positive impact, just personally connect with someone, even in like the littlest ways. Like if someone's reading a book that I've read, like there was a girl reading Silver Flames last night, and I was like, we had a whole conversation about it. So good. But I literally like that is what I live for, is those tiny little connections with strangers. You'll probably never see them again. You just kind of hold on to it because it's crazy. Like, you know, you're just passing in this like busy, crazy world, and you get to have this little like moment that's just so cool to me. And I get it, you know, almost every single day with like 150 people, which is insane. You know, I don't talk to everyone on the flights, but like even just the smallest thing, it just is so cool. So that really fills me up. Then when you're on a layover, for example, this is a 24-hour layover, I'm flying with someone that I was in training with, so I knew him, but I didn't know the rest of my crew. You know, sometimes crews hang out on layovers, but I honestly love just like walking around a city by myself. You know, you got to be safe and alert because every city is different, especially if you don't know it at all. Like, I do not know Indianapolis at all. Just walking around, I love finding like a Whole Foods or something, just doing a little grocery shopping, getting a coffee, just doing little things. I don't, you know, want to spend my whole paycheck on my layovers, but it is fun that like I get to see these cities and just explore and have some time. Even though we flew in, I think we got to the hotel around like 7 a.m. We worked the red eye, so it was like 4 a.m. our time. So it just felt like a really late night. And then I got here and slept until like 2, and then got out for a few hours. I think I walked like 3.5 miles or something. I asked for recommendations on Instagram, which is cool because I never know who's following me, and like, you know, someone's grandma's from Indianapolis and loves this place. Like, you just never know. So it's so fun to just explore by myself. It's also fun to explore with crews and like go out and hang out with them, but you do spend a lot of time by yourself. So I always have a book with me and my iPad so I can like watch a show. There are some people who are called slam clickers, which means you like go into your room, slam click, you don't leave your room for the whole layover, which is so great. Like, honestly, that we have that option. Like, I would never have to leave my hotel if I don't want to. Usually have snacks with me. There's a lot of time, but it's fun to also like get to go to cities where you know people. I just went to Pittsburgh or like, I don't even know, a few days ago, but I got to see one of my best friends, Delaney, and we went to the Pitt football game, and it was just like the most wholesome, like heartwarming thing ever. And I'm just so grateful that like I get to do stuff like that on my layovers and see people that I love so much. And the fact that, you know, I'm going for work and then I get to like have these layovers that I do all these fun things. It doesn't happen all the time, but it is special when it does. I'm only on number 5 out of 14. We're gonna get through this. We're 17 minutes in filming. I hope this is helpful, by the way. Even if you're just like, maybe one day I'll become a flight attendant, I hope this stuff is helpful. You know, these are all my own opinions. Everyone's so different. Every flight attendant is so different, but these are just my things that I've learned. My 5th thing is have a comfy home base. In this job, you know, you're all over the place, new city every week. Like, it is such an important thing. Maybe this is just an introvert thing, but my room has to be like my safe space. I moved back to Portland, as you might know, after living in LA, which I loved with my whole heart, but it is so nice to be able to like go home, you know, be at my base, but be with my family and just like recharge in that sense and just rest. So it's a really important thing. I mean, there are some people that are commuters, which is another thing on my list, and being a commuter, it's like a part-time job on top of it. Depends on where you're commuting from. I commuted to San Francisco from Portland for 6 months, and it was exhausting. I was a full commuter, so I would fly in, work a trip, and then have to fly back after. So it was always like 2 extra flights that I wasn't being paid for. It was just my commute, and it was honestly so exhausting. And some people do it, make it work, and they do it their whole career, and honestly, major props to them. But for me, it was just like, it drained like every ounce of juice that I had. I realized, I was like, I need to go home to Portland, be based there. I can always, you know, switch it up in the future, but just for the beginning of this job, it was really important for me to have somewhere that was just comfortable and safe and where I could recharge. Yeah, like my 6th thing was community is possible, but it is tough. 7 and 8, you get to see so many new cities and meet so many people on the plane. Like, you just never know who's gonna walk on, which is like super rad. And you never know who you're gonna work with. It's just like, you know, every day is so different, and I love that. It's just, you know, the complete opposite of a 9 to 5, which is so great. And, you know, there are some days that I'm like, oh, I wish I had a little bit more of a stable schedule, but I figure it out. You know, I get my exercise on my layovers, rest and recharge when I'm at home. You just gotta find your work-life balance. Just a few more things. Hotel living is so interesting. You know, living out a suitcase is a crazy thing, but it's also really fun. And like, I always think if I forget something, I'm in this like big giant city, I could go get it. Like one time I was in Boston and I thought it was gonna be warm and it was like pouring rain out. You just never know. So you have to like go buy winter clothes when you thought it was gonna be summer. But that's the kind of fun thing about this job, is that it's so different every day. My last couple things is, I've touched on this a little bit, but the longer you do it, the more rewarding it is, which is very interesting. I think a lot of jobs are like that. It is crazy to be in something that you start off and you just start at the bare minimum, on reserve, you're on call, you never know where you're going, you have no schedule, anything. But I think within like 5 years, you know, if I'm still doing it, I hope that I'll have, like, I don't know if it'll take 5 years, I don't know if it'll take longer, who knows, because it's all based on seniority, which fluctuates all the time. You know, with people retiring, maternity leave, coming back, it's always fluctuating. The longer you do it, like, the more rewarding it is, and you get to pick when you want to work, pick where you want to work, and just have a little bit more stability over it, because it is a little bit hectic at first. Hectic in a good way. You know, I'm someone, I love to keep busy, I love to go somewhere new, meet some new people. That's super fulfilling to me and like fills up my cup. And then I'm also able to, you know, just like rest and recharge if I need to. It is a crazy job. It is, you know, not a normal whatever at all. I love it. I love everything about it to a point. Like, you know, no job is gonna be perfect. It's so great. Makes me feel like I'm making an impact on this world, even if it's just something like so small. I'm like, I did that, and it wasn't crazy, it wasn't anything like out of the way. It was just, you know, moving someone so they could sit with their kids, because you never know, like, if it's someone's first flight, if they're going to a funeral. Like, people aren't flying always for like happy, positive reasons, like going to Disneyland. Getting to work Make-A-Wish flights, like quite possibly the best thing ever. As a cancer survivor myself, that's something that is so cool that we have that. I'm looking down at the basketball court that's now empty, and I kind of want to go shoot some hoops. I think that's all I have. I hope that this was informative, if anything. If you take even just a small grain from what I've said, that's cool. These are all, you know, my own opinions, my experience so far, but it's been a really fun journey, and I'm so glad I did it. And I really truly believe that the universe works out how it's supposed to, and that kind of worked out that way with my job. Wow, my camera just turned off. It was like, you're done talking. It literally like cut off. But thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions about being a flight attendant. I would love to share my experiences. I love you. I will see you later. Goodbye. I'm gonna go shoot some hoops at the Pacers Stadium.